How's it going, my Comicchat Army? We're here today with Jonathan Thompson, the creator of Tales from a Dead Astronaut. How you doing, Jonathan?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
That's good. That's good.
So how did you get hooked up with SourcePoint Press?
I got hooked up with SourcePoint just through the regular submission portal. When we George Gavato, the artist for Tales from the Dead Astronaut, we put together the book in pieces in their kind of anthology story formats over the course of probably 3 or 4 months, and then we put it together as a self-published version, which I think you saw originally over at Comic Impressions.
Yeah.
And then we just sent it out everywhere, just kind of like cold sent it out places. I didn't really think much of it. It was just like a fun thing for us to do. And then SourcePoint came back, they loved it, and we were off to the races. Then I needed to figure out where to go with issues 2 and 3, but we put that together pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was looking through it. So the art is amazing. The Dead Astronaut and I don't even know what they're called, the space anemones or something.
Yeah, like the troglodytes, little things on them. Yeah, that was fun.
Awesome.
It was fun because with George, it's like he just he was the first artist that I really worked with. And when we first started working together, I was very strict on what I wanted, what I was looking for, because I was trying to form it in my mind and forgetting the fact that he's an artist and he has his own instincts. And once I realized that I need to let him just fly, things made it easier because I could just say, put a weird alien. And he threw some weird aliens on there. And I was always surprised and caught off guard and loving everything I got.
It is a beautiful book. I like the art.
Yeah. He has such diverse styles through each story too. I remember when we first put it out there, people were surprised that it was one artist that did the whole book, because each story has a different feel to it that kind of makes it separate, which is what I kind of love about George's work.
Okay. So without spoiling the book, do we find out why the Dead Astronaut is the Dead Astronaut?
No. I like the kind of Grant Morrison cycle of life thing where there is really no beginning or ending. By the time you finish all 3 issues, you could literally just loop his story back around and start again.
Is there going to be an issue 4?
Not yet. Me and George are thinking about what we're going to do next, how we're going to approach things. I have far too much on my plate, which is always fun, but it's just fun to collaborate in that world with them.
And SourcePoint Press is putting these books out, right?
Yeah, SourcePoint.
Can they get the original that you printed before?
I don't think I have any left. We printed I think 250 of them. We sold a good chunk in the beginning, and then I kind of used those as bonus Kickstarter rewards through various Kickstarters that I ran. And then when I was at New York Comic Con this year to promote it because it was on the eve of its release, I just gave out the rest of them. So they're out there.
Nice.
And that one was a little digest size version, which I really like that format.
Yeah. I think it was like that big. It was like
yeah, it was a nice put it in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So with SourcePoint Press, you're going to be in all the comic shops, right?
We were, yeah. Well, by now, all 3 have been out. The trade comes out at the end of March, so that's going to be exciting. But yeah, it was exciting, talking to comic stores, getting it in shops, seeing how many people ordered, and then it's always fun seeing people post that they have their copies. When you see the comics, the shops their weekly shot of their wall, and you're like, well, where is it? And there it is. And then you get depressed when it's not there, and then you find one that it is there, and you get excited again.
Have you done store book signings yet?
No.
Is it in the future? Do you plan on doing any?
Maybe. There's a couple shops around here. I have my own shop in Harrison, New York, All Yet Comics, and I signed a bunch. He would hand me my copies. I sheepishly would sign them, and they would go on the wall.
Nice. So you've got your very own comic shop?
Not my own personal shop.
Oh,
no. My shop that I go to. which is of course an hour away from where I live.
So are you going to attend Comic-Cons in Massachusetts, right?
Connecticut. No, just New York Comic Con.
Okay.
Work is busy, so it's not easy to get around. But I was there this year with SourcePoint, and I got to hang out with the booth with them, and that was a lot of fun. Got to meet everybody. Everybody's super cool there, so it was a really fun time. And a really fun time just seeing people like just engaging with comics that way, because I've never done it that way. I'd only been to Comic-Con once before as a fan, and then to be like sitting behind a booth was a very interesting experience, and also like having my bundle of comics to just pass out to people and, you know, hand to different creators was really fun and cool.
So did you fund the comic all yourself, or did you?
Brutally so.
You did.
Well, Tales I funded myself because we did it in pieces. That's like my best advice to anybody that wants to create comics, is just like it's hard because, you know, an artist deserves their pay rate, and it'll take a healthy chunk. So, you know, to create a 24-page comic, you're looking at, you know, upwards of $2,000 just to get the art.
Wow.
But that's where I started with short stories. You know, me and George put it together over several months. By the time it was done, we had this complete thing. We put it together. I funded everything that way, and then hand sold it $4 a piece, and just tried to get as much out there. I knew I was going to take a loss, but that's not what was important to me. It was just like the creative act. There's nothing more satisfying than like starting with the script, getting each page in your inbox, and then when you finally get that printed version and start sending it out to people, there's a lot of fun there.
Oh, I can imagine. I don't have a comic book personally, but I see a lot of people light up when they actually get the physical media in their hand.
Yeah, it's exciting. You know, when you get that box in of all your comics that you did, and you're just like, holy shit, it's real, we did it. Like, oh God, what did we do? So yeah, it's fun. But that like started an addiction then, you know. From there, I hooked up with Italian artist Rossano Pinocchi, and we put together Burn Residue as a 3-issue series that we did as a Kickstarter. I mean, I still ate a bunch on that, even, you know, funding that. But like, it's great, you know, it's addicted. And then I did another one, and then I did another one. And then I found like Kickstarter is a great way to pay the artist, pay for the print run, pay for the shipping. You know, I don't make a dime, I'm still losing money, but I have everything now. You know, I have those completed things. You know, in this past, I say over between 2020 and now, here we are in 2022, I've produced about 300 or 400 pages of comics, like printed comics now, and it's like awesome, you know.
You've only been doing this for about what, a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, about so. I would say George and I we started short stories. It was probably more December 2019, but like very slowly, just like this 1-2-page story and then a 4-page story. And then midway into 2020, that's when we really just like lit a fire under everything.
Nice. Is SourcePoint going to pick up Burn Residue also?
So they're going to pick up Burn Residue as a graphic novel, and they're going to pick up my last one, Night of the Comet, as a graphic novel as well. And that one has some pretty wild art by Attila Schwanz. It's very reminiscent of like a Bill Sienkiewicz style of art. Very I mean, he's multimedia. He uses every tool you can imagine to create these pages. I implore you guys to check out my Instagram because I post stuff there all the time, and it's wild. It's it's a 68-page hardcover that well, the version that we did for Kickstarter is a hardcover. I think it's going to be a soft cover when it comes out from SourcePoint. But it's wild. It's like it's my Yakuza noir that I've always wanted to do, that turned into something much more different and much more poetic in a way. It's about a hired killer with a taste for blood, who is set upon like an aged samurai who's ready to die. And it's a clash between those two forces. And it's wild.
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
Hey, you're gonna have to look that one up. And I still have the best place to go for a lot of my stuff is spacestationz.com. That's kind of like the brand that I've set everything under. And I have some copies left for pre-order on there for Night of the Comet. So this will be the hardcover version, and then in the fall we'll have the softcover out from SourcePoint.
Do you have diamond codes or lunar?
No, nothing yet. Nothing yet. I think probably in early summer that stuff will start to get out there.
Right. I'll
Yeah.
circle back and add it to the description when you get them.
Yeah. And then Burn Residue is the story of Willie Boyd. He is a gas station attendant who is burnt head to toe from a incident in his past. And one night while he's pumping gas, a car pulls up that is driven by one of the men who lit him on fire years ago, and it sets him on a tailspin of revenge. And that's another just a crazy, insane, brutal piece of work that is about how far you can go and like what that does to you.
Right. Where do you draw inspiration from?
Everywhere. I'm a big film guy, so film. I do find a lot of ways film and comics are similar because it's about that kind of like selected image to guide the story. So that's been really fun. Where each image is a moment and each panel is a moment, and then building the pacing and the rhythm from there is a lot of fun. In terms of like comic book inspirations, I've been steeped in it for my whole life. I'm a big Superman fan. I have when I was a kid, I met a guy who used to draw Superman. I think he actually helped create Supergirl, Al Plastino, and he gave me a Superman drawing, a Superman versus Lex Luthor drawing. So I have that, like coffee stained and soda marked and not in its best shape as it was received, but it's beautiful. So I get to look at that every day and remind myself of where I want to be.
Nice. Yeah, you said you got a website, social media. What social medias do you want everyone to?
So Instagram's the best place. Everything is really under like the Space Station Z moniker. On Instagram, we're Space Station Z, spacestationz.com, and then on Twitter, it's Commander of Z, CMDR of Z. But Twitter is, Twitter you can see stuff, but I think a lot of stuff gets lost in the mix. I think Instagram is really the best place because I post stuff all the time of everything that I'm working on. I post pictures of Night of the Comet that I have. I post pictures of this new piece that I'm putting together for a Kickstarter that's going to launch probably end of March at this point. It's called Airplane Mechanics. It is a 48-page graphic novella with this artist, Jeff Manley, he does Riley Teenage Bigfoot. You should check it out. It's very fun. It's a very more comic in the comedy sense. It's about these two brothers who man their family airfield. Their parents just sold the airfield for a housing development, and they're kind of like lost figuring out what they're going to do next. And one of the brothers decided, let's fix up this plane that we've had sitting here our whole lives. They funnel all the money that they got from the sale into putting this plane back together, and their hope is that they're going to fly it out at the end of the day. But this plane is a rickety piece of crap that smokes out, and one brother is not confident that it's going to fly, while the other brother is saying, trust me, it'll fly. So that I love this one. It's going to be great. The Kickstarter for that is going to be probably later March because I want Night of the Comet to be in people's hands before we put it out. We're in no rush. We're going to have the Airplane Mechanics is going to be fully done by the time the Kickstarter launches, so it'll be a quick turnover. But that one, you guys can sign up and follow that one along. In my on my Instagram, in my profile, there's a link tree where you really can get to everything.
Okay. I'll grab it and add it to the description.
I'm sorry?
I said I'll grab it and I'll add it to the description.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that would be great.
What advice would you give to newcomers that want to get into comic books?
Well, like I was saying before, find an artist that you don't need someone that's Jim Lee. You need someone that's going to be that can tell a clear story. And they're going to be expensive in the long term, but save your pennies. Come up with a 4-page story, a 6-page story, whatever it takes. It's better to learn that economy of storytelling anyway, and then just do it and put it out there. Build something up. I mean, I think Tales from the Dead Astronaut is the perfect case study. We did that, now we're going to be in Barnes and Nobles when the trade paperback comes out. It's like, it's crazy stuff like that. It's, when you walk into a regular comic shop and you see this thing that you put together, like thinking that no one would see, and then you find out that you sold, collectively probably like 5,000 copies. That sounds like a huge, crazy thing.
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's always fun when you see people reacting to it that you have no idea who they are. You just see, oh, I picked up this crazy thing. It was awesome. And you're just like, yeah, it is awesome. Thank you. It is crazy. It is awesome. Thank you for buying, and keep spreading the word.
Have you just randomly signed comic books, like your comic books, in shops before?
Just the ones from the shop that I go to. I haven't been that bold. I'm very reserved. Even when I went to, when I go to my shop on a Wednesday and I know that my comic is coming out, I don't even ask for it. I like hide my head in the corner. My shop owner, he's like, sign these. I'm like, I guess I should. All right. It's humbling almost.
So I've always wanted to ask this. When you start selling comic books, is it a weekly check or monthly check or quarterly? How do you get paid from the sales?
It's quarterly. I haven't gotten paid yet, but I think that's coming soon. Like I kind of knew that going in, and that can be the hard part sometimes, because you really need the book finished before they're ready to publish it, or ready to even announce it, or ready to even schedule it, because they need to know that this book's going to come out, that there's going to be no hiccups. And I get that. But then, it solicits 3 months ahead of time, and then it comes out, and then I think it's still another, because it's quarterly for this, I think I'll get paid for 1 and 2 at the same time, and then I'll get paid for 3 and the trade paperback in the quarter after. Okay. So it's a bit of a wait, but that's, I think once you're rolling, that weight doesn't affect you anymore. When you have stuff constantly coming out,
yeah,
it's less of a problem.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, just check out the Instagram, Space Station Z, on Instagram. That's really the best place. There's a lot of cool stuff up there. There's also a link to my Substack, my newsletter, where I'll post comics, or I'll post, just articles about what's going on, fun stuff. I don't do it much, but when I do, it'll be something fun to look at. I am working on a kind of chapter by chapter story with artist Gabe Ostley called The Private Eye, and that's fun. It's about a big eyeball detective, and you could read the first chapter. I think the first chapter is on my Substack, but I also know that we're going to be in the Spread Love magazine next month, so that'll be fun. Yeah, it's always fun to see people pick up stuff and run wild with it and just see it everywhere. But also, one of the stories from Tales from the Dead Astronaut, Another World Part 1, was in Infinite Worlds magazine, like I think a year and a half ago now, like before we were even, like just after we were picked up by SourcePoint. So there's a lot of stuff everywhere.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to come talk with us.
Thank you.
What? You mean you haven't subscribed to Comicchatauthority? Oh, come on. Subscribe already. What are you waiting for? It's no big deal. Like, man, don't forget to tell him to hit that like button. Yeah, that too. Just subscribe.